When I graduated from university in Japan, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur because gender discrimination was really hard in Japan. When I graduated, no big company offered me a job. So that's why I just want to be, the equal, management in a big corporation. That was my thought. But after I came here in US to, join the Stanford University MBA, environment, culture was totally different. They really encourage to, start up. So everyone in Silicon Valley loves to, start up. 9 out of 10 students want to start up after graduate. That reminded me a sort of original thought in my mind. My dad has his own company. I know the value of a startup. The startup can create new things. Maybe possibly change the world. So I kind of changed my mind. Forget about any discrimination. I'm going to create something, for the world. That's my trigger. There are a lot of things hurdle for female entrepreneur, but however, especially in Japan, I think hurdle is woman by herself. I was invited to be a speaker of women entrepreneurship, and I observed most of the women, they want to create something, however, very small. They don't want to be big. They tend to just start up a company, something like, let's say, HR, in cosmetics, marketing, some general merchandising. I think women would like to start up something like what they can do, not they really want to do. It's very different from boys. When I was a high school student, becoming a senior, we needed to choose a major, either art or science. Girls tend to choose art. Although a lot of female students likes mathematics, but when becoming choosing a major or career, it happened to me. I was very intimidated because all the class for, measuring the science, that's all boys. Although I really liked the mathematics, I didn't choose it. Finally I chose economics. It's something like that. Women tend to choose what they can do, not really want to. I think that's the biggest hurdle for female entrepreneurship. In terms of gender, there is no difference in terms of capability or ability, whatever. But however, I recently started thinking of my management style. I really like to listen. Peers, staff, working for me, especially the people who understand the job site. So that sometimes I hear their voice and I tend to change my decision. I think it's good. It may be my bias, but I think, in the history, all the male top management, it's really top-down, very centralized. It's something like go-go things. But a woman, at least myself, I really want to listen. The company to be innovative, the two things are very necessary. One is diversification, the other is communication between these diversified people. even the top management, listen to their voice, would create good innovation. So that I think the management asset. I think it's getting better. Not because of especially female entrepreneur, but because in general. Especially, so our ministry, took over the office. He really promoted women. So women labor force come back to the market, and the big corporation, something that, create more top management for female. This general atmosphere also change the female entrepreneur, but it's still people do not really, paying attention for startup founder entrepreneur. Not only for women, but entrepreneur. So I think the mix of entrepreneurship and the female is still kind of difficult in Japan, but it will change. Japan, I hope it will be promoted more, fast and quickly.